Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 27. Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribrajakachaja Astotara Sata Shri Shri Madhaisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prince Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 27. Jatasya hi dhruvo mritur dhruvam jammamritasya cha tasmad pariharyarte na tvam sochitum harati. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam jammamritasya cha Tasmad pariharyerte na tvam sochitum arasi. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam jammamritasya cha tasmad pariharyerte na tvam sochitum harasi. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam jammamritasya cha Tasmada pariharyarte na tvam sochitum arasi. Jatasya, one who has taken his birth, he certainly. Dhruva, a fact. Mrityu, death. Dhruvam, it is also a fact. Jamma, birth. Mritasya, of the dead. Cha, also. Tasmad, therefore. Aparirharye, for that which is unavoidable. Arthe, in the matter of. Na, do not. Tvam, you. Shochitum, to lament. Harasi, deserve. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain. And for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duties, you should not lament. Purport. One has to take birth according to one's activities of life. And after finishing the term of activities, one has to take birth for the next. In this way, the cycle of birth and death, involving one after the other without liberation. This cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The Battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of the Kshatriya. Why should he be afraid or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subject to the reactions of sinful acts, of which he was also afraid. He was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. Jatasya hi dhruva mityur dhruvan janma mritasya cha tasmada pariraryate natvam swachitum harasi. So again here, Krishna is continuing his discussion with Arjuna, pointing out what is the reality of existence. The reason that Krishna comes and appears on this planet on a regular basis is to protect the devotees and to establish the principles of dharma or religion. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam. So Krishna, vinashaya cha duskritam, he kills the demons. Paritranaya sadhunam, he protects the devotees. Dharma samstapanarthaya, and he establishes the principles of religion. In the 4th chapter, he tells Arjuna that I instructed the science many, many millions of years ago to the sun god, Vivasvan, Imam Vivasvate Yogam, the science of yoga. Yoga means the science of connecting to the Supreme. Right now, we are connected to this body. And through the body, we are connected through the bodily senses, eyes, ears, nose, taste, mind, intelligence, touch. Through these senses, belly, genitals, through the senses which make up our body, we are connected to the material world. We are identifying with the material world. But the process of yoga is to connect with the Supreme Lord. This is our real constitutional position. Just like a citizen, he may break the law and he's put in prison and he's suffering. His movement are curtailed, his wishes are curtailed, he may not do what he likes, he's under the control of the prison administration, under the control of the guards, and he's made to suffer. But that is not his constitutional position. His real position is to be a free citizen under the laws of the government, where he can take advantage of the society in which he lives. So this material understanding, you can extrapolate that there is another reality which is beyond the temporary reality of the material world. urdhva mulam adaha shakam. This material world, it is like a tree, a banyan tree, which the roots going up, urdhva means going up, mulam means root. So urdhva mulam adaha shakam. The shaka or the branches, adaha, they're going down. This actually is an allegorical presentation by Lord Krishna at the beginning of the 15th chapter. It describes this tree, which is actually a reflection. When the tree is standing on the bank of a reservoir of water, if you look at the reflection of the tree is upside down. So this material world is a reflection of the tree. So urdhva mulam adashakam ashvatam praur avyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yasam veda savedavid. This tree is made of many, many branches and many, many leaves. And the leaves of this tree are the chanda, or the pronunciation, the recital of the Vedic hymns. So Krishna is referring to the Vedas. Krishna didn't come and present something new. What he presented millions of years ago to the sun god, he is presenting again now to Arjuna. Sakaleneha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. Because of the influence of time, kaleneha, kala iya mahata, kala, time is very, very powerful. Yoga brashta, and he has broken this relationship that we have with Krishna, with God. We are actually eternally connected with God, just like the prisoner is eternally a citizen of the state, but he's being restricted because of his criminal activities, because of his criminal mentality. He's being restricted so that he doesn't cause any further damage to the society. So in the same way, when we challenge Krishna, when we don't want to follow Krishna's instructions, when we work against Krishna, we want to imitate Krishna, we are given the facility to do so in the material world, because this activity cannot be performed in the spiritual world. It will simply create a disturbance. So in Krishna's abode, in Krishna's transcendental abode of Vaikuntha, all the Vaikuntha planets, and in Goloka Vrindavan, there is no disturbance. He is the Nagar, he is the lover, he is the main object of affection, and everybody else are his servants. Nobody is disputing. Everybody is relating to him in a loving relationship, because we are eternally connected to Krishna with this loving relationship. So, but because of passing of time, yoga nashta parantapa. My dear Arjuna, you may be very powerful, but the connection of yoga has been broken. Arjuna, as a duty, as a kshatriya, what is his duty? The duty of a kshatriya is within the system called varna ashrama, or the system of regulating the activities of human beings according to their qualities and their work. And this whole system, and indeed the whole system of yoga, the whole system of Bhagavad Gita, can only be understood properly if we understand our position as spiritual living entities. Not this body, not American, not German, not Italian, not man, not woman, not cat, not dog, not tree, not fish. No, eternal servant of God. Aham Brahma Asmi. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit. This understanding has to be there in human society. If that understanding is there, then human society is useless. It is like a train with many, many wagons, and within these wagons, in first class, second class, third class, all kinds of activities are going on. People are eating, people are sleeping, talking, but there is no engine. The train is not moving. People are simply going from one carriage to the other. If you have any experience with India, traveling with the train, when I first went to India in 1976, we went everywhere by train. There was no question of going by air. First of all, there weren't many flights, and second of all, it was very expensive, and we were not allowed to take flights. Even I remember in Calcutta, when we used to go out to meet life members or to do different activities, we would go by taxi, but that was not the original plan. Originally, the devotees used to go with the tram or with a rickshaw. Taxi were considered to be too expensive. But later on, as we began to collect more money, then we would go by taxi. But anyhow, flying was a no-no. Everywhere we went by train. And if you went from one part of India to the other, if you wanted to go from Calcutta to Bombay, it's 36 hours. If you wanted to go from Calcutta to Madras, it's 24 hours or more. So imagine spending 36 hours in a carriage compartment full of people and many, many carriages. So during the day, you walk up and down, you go to the bathroom, or you go to the kitchen, or you go and take a little walk up and down, talk to people. So activities are going on. People bring their food, they share the food with others, some of them play cards, and then the train will sometimes, the vendors will come on and they will sell their goods. So life is going on. But the whole idea behind sitting in this wagon of this train is to get to the destination. If the train stops moving, after some time, people will become disturbed. Why we are not moving? Often at night in Indian trains, for some reason the train will stop. Some problem on the track, some problem at the station, and then people will become disturbed. Why we are not moving? Call the conductor, ask him why, what is going on? Because the whole idea is to go from point A to point B. So in the same way, in the material world, point A to point B means to go from material consciousness to reawaken our original spiritual consciousness. And that is done in a system called Varna and Ashrama, where the head of the society is comprised of brahmanas, or people. A brahmana is a person who knows spirit. Brahmana means to know Brahman, to know the spirit. So when a person knows what is the spirit, he becomes qualified to lead society because he knows what is good for society. Just like the father is the natural leader of the family because he knows what is good for the family. He knows what the family requires. He brings food, he brings facilities, he educates his children, he knows what is needed for their material benefit. On a higher level, the Brahmana, the father of this spiritual society, he understands that beyond the body, beyond the needs of material senses, are the needs of the spirit. And again, the devotee will testify that before meeting Krishna, before meeting genuine spirituality, before meeting a pure devotee like Prabhupada, we were not happy, we were not satisfied. I came to live here in Amsterdam in 1969 in an attempt to break away from the constraint and from the regimentations of modern society. Here in Amsterdam in the late 60s, early 70s, you could actually live independently of society. You lived in communes, we shared. Either some people lived on boats, we lived in apartments, in a house where the kitchen and the bathroom was common and everybody had a room to live in. So in this way we shared. We would work minimum necessary just to earn enough to put food in our stomach. We didn't go for career, we didn't go for study, we didn't go for jobs. No, we went for music and getting high and breaking away from the shackles of general society. We were getting nowhere spiritually and we were getting upset. We wanted to hook on to the train. And that train, the engine of that train is Krishna consciousness. And that can move you along. So you need the head of a society, you need the brahmanas to tell us what is the purpose of life. And that is dharma. It is called duty. What is our duty? Dharma is not religion. Dharma is not something, it's not some faith that you can change today or tomorrow. That you're a Hindu today and a Muslim tomorrow, or a Christian today and a Protestant. No, it doesn't work like that. Dharma means what is our essence. Our essence is to engage in service. Now we are serving the senses in this society. We are being brainwashed, we are being pushed, we are being indoctrinated that the purpose of life is to earn money so we can satisfy our senses. And there is huge competition in our present day society, especially by the Western nations, who claim proprietorship over all the assets on the planet. It doesn't matter if it's in another country. It doesn't matter that the oil is in Venezuela or in Iraq or in Syria or in Libya. We in the West, especially America and Europe, we claim the right to that oil because we say we have the right to exploit these natural resources to maintain our standard of life. And the standard of life is to enjoy senses. The problem with that is the senses are never satisfied. It's like pouring butter onto the fire. The fire will not just simply burn more and more and more. So the more we try to satisfy the senses, the more and more and more we burn in the fire of material life. Anadi karama fale pori bhavarnava jale. Because of my activities in sense enjoyment, since time immemorial, I have fallen to the ocean of material life. And in this ocean, I don't know how to become free, how to become liberated from this material enjoyment, this fire, this burning fire of material life. So, anadi karama fale, puri bhavarna vajale, tari bare na deke upay. Hey Bishaya halahale, diba nishi hiya jwale. Hey Bishaya halahale, this ocean of poison, Vishaya, Bisha means poison. Diba nishi hiya jwale. I am burning jwale. Diba, day, nishi, night. Diba nishi, I am burning in this ocean of material life. Kabu mana sukanai pai, and therefore I am not getting any satisfaction within my mind. My mind is not satisfied. My heart is out of place. It is not working properly. There is something missing. And what is missing is my eternal relationship with God. What is missing is my natural activities of serving Krishna instead of serving my senses. Our senses are called Rishika, and Krishna is called Rishikesha. Rishikesha means the controller and the master of the senses. Our Rishiks, our senses are meant to be engaged in his service. And how to do that, that is given by the leaders of the society. And that is called Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, our real eternal activity. And Arjuna, within the system of Varnashrama, he was in the second tier. The second tier are the Kshatriyas, the warriors. The duty of the warrior is to make sure that the instructions from the Brahmanas are carried out by the populace in general. So in this instance, there is an imminent war between the Pandavas and Duryodhana. Duryodhana, especially, the cousin brother of the Pandavas, had usurped the throne. Him and his uncle Shakuni and his allied Karna were particularly bad characters. They cheated the poor Pandavas, they stole their kingdom, they insulted their wives, they banned them to the forest for 12 years. So they committed so many atrocities. The Pandavas were so humble, they were happy to have 5 villages to manage because they were kshatriyas, they were warriors. They understood the purpose of Dharma is to protect the citizens. So they said, give us 5 villages, we will work with that. But Duryodhana replied, I will not give you enough land into which I can stick a pin. So therefore there was war. And the war was called Dharma Yuddha, or religious war. It was not a war to control the material resources like the wars we have today. If you look at the history of the 20th century, especially from the West, America and Europe, there has been nothing but war perpetually at one point or another, in one place or another on this planet, for the purpose of controlling the material resources, which don't belong to us, they belong to Krishna. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna, your duty as a warrior is to fight for this ideal of teaching people their spiritual nature so they can become happy and go back home, back to Godhead. There is no question. that if you teach someone from childhood about his spiritual nature, he will never forget it. Even he may become entangled in material life. But once you understand your spiritual nature, once it is awoken, once you understand your connection with Krishna, that will never go away, because it is Sanatan, it is eternal. So Arjuna is saying, Arjuna is being taught by Krishna. Krishna is saying, if you don't fight in this war, you will be failing your duty in relationship with the Brahmanas. You will be failing your duty in relationship with truth. You will be acting in illusion. So you have to fight. Fight, you have to do. Live or die, it doesn't matter. If you win, you will enjoy your kingdom. If you lose, you will go to the heavenly planets. Because if one fights for the purpose for which the universe is created, if one fights for dharma, then he is promoted to the heavenly planets. Because Brahmana, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas clearly understand their spiritual nature. That's why they are the top. That's why the Brahmanas are the leaders of society. They understand the spiritual nature. Therefore, Varna Shrama Acharavata Purushena Para Pamapuram Vishnu Aradate Pumsham Nanyatatosha Karanam. That the purpose of life is to satisfy Vishnu by implementing and practicing the process of Varnashrama. That is the one main piece of the puzzle that Prabhupada created. That one missing piece is the implementation of Varnashrama. And it is giving great pain. It is causing great pain to the devotees today, for the assembly of devotees internationally, that we don't have this Varnashrama. We don't have a working example. The beauty of Varnashrama is that you learn to depend on God, not on material resources. Krishna, you don't see Krishna building skyscrapers. You don't see Krishna starting factories, starting wars for material possessions or to control material assets. No, you find Krishna living simply in the forest, or even when he has a city, it is low tech. It is based upon the natural opulences given by Mother Earth: marble, jewels, ivory, fruit, flowers, trees, gardens. All these things come by the mercy of God. If there is no rain, there is no nature. If there is no nature, there is no life. All these cities in which we live, Amsterdam, London, New York, Berlin, they look so beautiful and progressive with the flyovers and the skyscrapers. But if you look behind what is going on, if you look behind what it takes to create and maintain the structure, there is nothing but misery. There is nothing but impurity and ignorance. So we have the chance in Krishna consciousness, it is there in Prabhupada's books, to implement what is reality. So Arjuna is being taught by Krishna that your duty as a kshatriya is to fight. When I first came to Amsterdam, many of my friends were coming from America, and they were running away from America because they didn't want to be drafted into the army to go and fight in Vietnam. Their reason was, why should I go and get killed on the other side of the planet by people who don't attack me, who don't hate me? Why should I give up my life? Because it wasn't Dharma Yuddha. It wasn't a war based on reality and on religion. It was a war based on illusion, lust, and greed. And therefore they rejected it. And even so, you cannot simply call people up to join the army and expect them to fight. They have to have the warrior spirit. And the warrior spirit is innate within the heart of certain people. And when they are trained and they understand that they are spirit souls, then they will go into a righteous battle, into a battle which is based on religious principles, which is based on the truth, and they don't mind giving up their lives for the truth because they know they will be promoted to a higher plane. This is the story. So, the whole thing, again, hinges on understanding our nature as spirit souls. So reject all this propaganda from your politicians, from our institutions, educational systems, entertainment business. It is all based on ignorance. If you want the truth, it is there in Srila Prabhupada's books. Thank you very much. So, first of all, I'd like to apologize for missing the classes last week. Sometimes my head goes out of place. Last week, I wasn't in good state to give classes. I don't even know the reason. It's just, but anyhow, I will do my best in the future not to miss our Wednesdays and Fridays, because it is actually enjoyable to speak about Krishna, and I feel very much obliged that you listen and you reciprocate with me, even though the media, this Facebook, talking to the computer is not best, but hey, it could be worse. So Atmavidya has checked in, offices of businesses to everyone, Vishnivamsa also, Rob Dandavats, Jaya Madhava, Hare Krishna, Jaya Madhava from Russia. Hope so. Thank you very much. Nice to see you. I often read all your posts on Facebook. Mandi Prior is also here. Krishna Premavati from Amsterdam. Glenn Avery is also there. Sambadas. Okay, so there is no real question, but if any of you have any question, please put a message and then we will answer them later. Thank you very much for participating, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol.